Okay.
Are you sure?
Yes. Okay. Now I see live.
And
Are you seeing that?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Hello, everybody. You may have been listening to my voice and not being able to see a video. I apologize for our technical difficulties this morning. I'm going to start back at the beginning just to make sure that everybody got all of the information. Welcome to our town hall session this morning, Tuesday morning. We did have a town hall session last night, and the recorded session will actually be posted on our social media sites and our website probably within an hour after this presentation ends. Additionally, this presentation is being recorded, and you will see that as well. You will see that as well on our website and our social media sites as well. So this morning, the format really is to be able to provide you an opportunity for question and answer. You will see that you have an opportunity to type questions into the chat box. Please go ahead and do so, and I will answer those questions for you. I do just have a question that popped up that says, has this started or running late? Yes, I have started. I'm wondering if we are seeing live feed out there. If somebody could give me a thumbs up in the chat box just to make sure that you are getting both the video and the audio, that would be fantastic.
You are live, Ms. Ratinger.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. All right. The purpose of this town hall is really for you to get your questions answered around our face-to-face protocols and our virtual K-5 option. The reason for that is because we are asking you to commit to one of those things by the close of business today. Now, if you happen to be somebody who is selecting the face-to-face option for your child, there is no need for you to do anything different. But if you're interested in the K-5 virtual option for your child, please make sure that you register them today. That can be found on our district website at the Restart for Scythe page. So do take a look at that. And if you're interested in virtual, please make sure you sign up today. All right, questions are coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and start with those. The first question is, can you estimate how much face-to-face virtual teaching there will be in a given day? Is that comparable to an in-person student's day? So, Amy, that's a great question. You will actually find on the Restart for Scythe page, there was a town hall, the very first done by the central office. It's a fantastic video, and at the end, the director of elementary education, her name is Rebecca Johnson, she did an example of what a day might look like in the life of a K-5 virtual learner. And so that's a really great video to check out. It gives you some really good information. However, I can answer that for you in this way. There will be a combination of class meetings that we would expect your child to log into. There may be small group instructional segments that we need your child to log in for. And also your child will be having individual conferences with the teacher. Now, that is actually how we run our classrooms face-to-face anyway. There's a very small amount of whole class instruction where the teacher is teaching to everyone. And the reason for that is because most of our children are not on the same level and certainly not dependent upon which standard you're working on. So it really will just be dependent upon the needs of your child, but you can expect to be in face-to-face with the teacher at least a couple of times a day. We will, however, publish the work for the week on Monday so that as a family for the asynchronous sessions, when you're not having to be live with the teacher, you can kind of adjust your schedule to meet the needs of your family. Next question, how many kids are currently signed up for virtual? As of last night, when we shut everything down, we had 304. That has not changed yet this morning, but I expect that may change a little bit. But right now we're at about 304 as of the close of business last night. Okay, see what else we have. Same question, how many kids signed up for virtual? About 304, which is honestly right now, if you look at the numbers and the distribution of those, it's essentially 2 classes in every grade level except for kindergarten, where we're right now looking at about 1 class in kindergarten. Okay, With DeKalb County going fully virtual, what are the chances Forsyth does the same? Honestly, this is not a school-based decision. If our district decided to change their policy around our opening and our options, that's really something for the Board of Education and our school superintendent. I can't really speak to the chances of that changing, but I will tell you this. As a principal, I have been asked to, and I have thought about contingency plans for just about everything. So if we end up needing to shut down a classroom or quarantine a certain number of people or shut down a school or shut down a cluster of schools or shut down the district, we are prepared to deal with that. The reality is that's really going to be, that decision would be made by our Board of Education and our superintendent, and certainly that would be informed by the Georgia Department of Public Health. Next question, is there any timing for face-to-face session compared to normal school hours? I think that's similar to the question I answered before. Really, your child's teacher will be assigned to that class for virtual. And so she will be interfacing with them honestly all day through the It's Learning platform, either in terms of, question and answer or physical log on. Let's walk through this thing. Certainly, if your child is struggling in any way, they will be, it's not really an expectation that you need to teach them the content. It's just they need to get logged in with the teacher, and the teacher will work with them individually or in a small group in the very same way that we do in our classroom space. Okay, let's see, what other questions do you have here? Let me just share a couple of other things while the questions are coming in. You will notice if you checked out our PowerPoint presentation, our students will be doing a tremendous amount of hand washing while they are at school. Students will wash their hands before and after lunch, before and after recess, and before and after specials. Toward that end, we moved almost all of our classrooms into rooms that have sinks, because that's an awful lot of hand washing. We will be asking kids to wash their hands and sanitize their hands before they transition anywhere. Other than that, honestly, our movement in the building is very, very limited. Your child will be in their classroom. The teacher, however, has been given a lot of autonomy about taking the class outside. Whenever those students need a break, they need a break from their masks, or they just need a break from the physical environment. All classrooms have been assigned an outdoor location, an outdoor learning location as well, where they can take their students just to get out of the building for a little bit. Next question, I assume class tests will be on an honor system. This is something that we'll work out once you select virtual, if that's what you choose to do. Then your teacher will be communicating with you directly about the parameters for assessment and grading in that setting. Next question, how are buses being handled? This is a great question really for our transportation department. I will be very honest with you, because really right now, sort of the tyranny of the urgent is to get a real handle on the numbers of students that are selecting the virtual option. The reason for that is obviously it will change the number of students that are either participating in our bus service or our car line service. So we don't have specifics around what's happening on the buses, other than the fact I know that the drivers will be wearing masks on the buses, but your bus driver will be able to talk to you specifically about information around the route. And my suspicion is you're going to get information coming out in about a week from our transportation department about those things. But right now, we're really trying to get a handle on numbers and then how many kids that's going to look like, what that's going to equate to on a bus route. After the first 9 weeks, what does return to the classroom look like? Great question. Our plan right now is to survey families that are participating in both options around probably 2 to 3 weeks before before the end of our 9 weeks. And then we will look at if I need to populate classes. Let's assume that we have a lot of people who selected the virtual option, but things are going very, very well in terms of public health. And a lot of people want to send their children back to the face-to-face environment. I will actually be populating classes at that time. We do have space in the building for that, but as far as who goes into what class, that has yet to be determined. We will determine that when we look at the numbers of students that will be rejoining us after the first 9 weeks. Next question, special education. Oh, let me say this about the transition between virtual and face-to-face. So far, because of the numbers, we have large numbers of families that are selecting the virtual option, which is fantastic because so far it is allowing us to provide our virtual students with teachers from Vickery Creek for the virtual option, which, and you can imagine if you have a school that has very small numbers of people that are selecting virtual, they may have to share staff between buildings. We are not needing to do that right now, which is fantastic because then all of our teachers at a grade level, imagine, let's take fourth grade for example, all of our fourth grade teachers will be planning together every week as they always have. So whether your child is in the virtual setting or the face-to-face setting, they are getting the same pacing, the same, obviously the standards are the same, but all of our teachers are planning together so that if you choose to make a switch at the 9-week mark, there's really a lot of continuity around the instruction and your child really shouldn't have missed anything on one side or the other. How many kids per desk on the face-to-face session? So I think we're in places where we have student desks, there's only one student at the desk. However, I do want to clarify this. You are going to see in our classrooms that we have spread things apart, our tables and our desks, as much as possible in order to provide as much space between children as we possibly can. However, that is not, there's not necessarily 6 feet between children at all times. That's just not feasible or possible in our classrooms. We do have an older building and our classroom spaces are small. We have, however, removed some of the nice, I think, comfortable furniture where kids may in the past have been able to get in a little reading nook together and share a book. Those things have actually been removed from our classrooms so that we can spread out the seating as much as possible. Next question. Is absent from face-to-face, he or she can access the day's work on its learning. Will this online work be specific to face-to-face teacher or will it follow the virtual teacher? That policy is actually going to be the same for both. If you have a child who is ill and they cannot participate in school for the day, whether that is in the virtual setting or the face-to-face setting, we would encourage you to let them take a break, heal, get well, and then whatever they can do through its learning, we will accept that. If we opt for face-to-face, but our child can't handle wearing a mask all day, can they then go to virtual? No, they cannot make a switch until the 9-week mark. We are asking you to make a commitment to that for the 9 weeks because we really are not going to be able to change up the classrooms if we allow people to make changes back and forth so early in the game. However, if your child needs a break from their mask, we can do that. We can absolutely take them outside and give them a break from that. But we are asking you to make a commitment to one side or the other, please. Can you post the new number of kids signed up for virtual when you get them today? No, I'm not going to post that publicly. It is something, however, that I have a meeting with my faculty tomorrow once those numbers close because we will have a brainstorming session on scheduling and all of that to determine the best way to do service programming for all of those students. And then we will go about populating classes. Right now, we have really not placed students in classes because we needed to get a real handle on these numbers first. So I will tell you if you want to talk more about the virtual or you are unsure, please just email me. I'm happy to respond to that and I can get your personal questions answered. But I'm not sure about the numbers of virtual options and why that would really impact making a decision one way or the other. The truth is the number of students that select the virtual option does not change the class size at all for the kids who are face-to-face. They are not hiring new staff to teach. We really are just reallocating the way that our staff accesses kids. Next question, if we purchase school supplies at the end of last year and sign up for virtual, will we get the supplies needed? Yes, if those supplies through our PTO in that school pack, We actually, we are going to be sending those home with our kids who come face to face. We're going to send those home on the first day of school so that you can keep the extras in your home and just send in a Ziploc bag or a pencil box with your child's supplies. We will not be sharing supplies this year. And if you have chosen the virtual option, we will be sending out information to all of our families that selected the virtual option about how you can come and pick up several things. You may need to come by and pick up the school pack if you ordered that. You may have pictures here from Katie Studios. You may have ordered a yearbook last year that have just come in and will be distributing once school starts. All of those types of things, we will be working with our families that have selected the virtual option to give you information about how to pick up any of those things. Next, can you speak to the mask expectation? I know they've said masks are expected, but specifically kindergarten kids and their teachers. Okay, so our Board of Education has voted, and our policy is that masks are expected. Okay, what that means is that, yes, our medical community says that the expectation for masks is a good idea. So we will be able to expect masks from our staff and from our children. However, we will not be incentivizing that, which means we're not going to provide, extra points or extra, here's a great thing if you wear your mask, nor are we going to be punishing people who don't wear a mask. The reason for that is we actually have people that I can speak to directly in this school that either have medical conditions or for sensory reasons just are not going to find it feasible to wear a mask all day long. Okay, so we're not going to, again, we're not going to punish anybody and we're not going to reward anybody for wearing them. What we are going to do is ask you what your family choice is when we call you to welcome you to the classroom. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to stand by that. Okay, we will give kids and teachers lots and lots of options to go outside for a little bit and spread out and take their mask down if they need to do that. The other thing you asked about kindergarten specifically, in some of our classes, our teachers have opted for some of these masks that have a clear viewing around your mouth, particularly when they're teaching phonics, because the formation of your mouth is really quite important when you're working on letter sounds. So those things are actually, we have those in place and ready to help kids, even kids who may not be able to hear very well. Their teachers will be using the masks that have the clear viewing so that they can see the lip reading if they need to do that. No computers will be available in class. Can you clarify what BYOT means? BYOT means bring your own technology. We actually will have Chromebooks in the classroom. They actually are provided by the school. However, we do not have Chromebooks for one-to-one, what that means is we will not be assigning a singular Chromebook to your child if you're here for face-to-face instruction. Now, we will be able to limit the number of children that are using that Chromebook, but we are encouraging people who are comfortable with it to have their child bring their own device, which means no one else will be touching it but your child. How will we know what times our children or our child needs to be online and available each day? Will the synchronous learning time change from day to day? Yes, it's possible that it will change, but honestly, you'll get an orientation about that from your child's virtual teacher as soon as just like we would do an orientation to a regular classroom, they will provide all of that information for you as soon as you are in their class and they give you a call during pre-planning. Next question, how are special education? So all students who have an IEP, an individualized educational plan, we are actually going to provide the services in their IEP just like we always have. So there's really nothing different about that. If they have resource segments, they'll have resource segments. If they have, OT or PT services or speech services, they will have those services exactly as written in their IEP. If we choose to come back to face-to-face after the 9 weeks, will we get a similar meet the teacher type of call from their new teacher? Yes, you will. In fact, it's even possible that the virtual teacher they had will be their teacher if they come back face-to-face. That is just dependent upon the numbers of students that are making that choice at the time. But certainly if your child is changing teachers, yes, You'll have an orientation, you'll have an open house, you'll have an opportunity to meet that teacher and feel comfortable before the second 9 weeks. In grades 3 through 5, will students be switching between classes for math and science and social studies and ELA? Yes, they will. However, not as we have done it before. So those of you that have been in our upper grades here, you know that we have partner teachers. The reason we do that is because the content is very dense. And so we have partner teachers, and one of those teachers teaches the English language arts and social studies, and the other teacher teaches the math and science. Okay, so yes, we are going to continue that model. However, we are not going to have children physically change classroom spaces. And really, it could be either 1 week or 2 weeks. We're really leaning into the grade levels, making those decisions based on the content. So what is going to happen? Let's imagine third grade, for example, and let's imagine that your child is placed with Miss Shaw and Miss Landis, okay? Your child may be with Miss Landis and will be based in Miss Landis's classroom getting language arts instruction and social studies instruction for 1 consecutive week. Now, towards the end of the day, Miss Shaw will actually virtually meet with the kids in that class just to touch base, see if anybody has any questions around math or science, just to make sure she's got a really good handle on where the kids are, because the following week, after our classrooms are deep cleaned and sanitized and all of that, the kids will be in Miss Shaw's class doing math and science for a week, and Miss Landis will be checking in with them virtually just to make sure if anybody needs support until the following week when they come back into her class. So that is currently our plan for our upper grades. Will Chromebooks be available for virtual learners to check out? Yes, and all of that information will come to you after you've selected the virtual option, if you choose to. Let's see if I missed any questions. Okay, I think we've gotten all of the questions so far. If you have any further questions, please do add those things. While I'm waiting for new questions to pop up, I do want to just mention a couple of things that people have asked about. Let's talk about kindergarten bus roundup or even gardeners. If you are brand new to our school, meaning you have an incoming kindergartner, or you are a family that is new to our community, first of all, welcome. You are going to love it here. This community is second to none, and we are so glad that you're joining us. We are going to provide an opportunity for your child to have an in-person open house. The reason we're doing that, honestly, as a mom, I can't even imagine dropping my 5-year-old off in a place like this and knowing that they've never seen the inside of the school. So we are going to provide an in-person open house for kindergarten and new students only. All right, those open house opportunities are going to be scheduled by appointment. They will be scheduled by your child's teacher when she calls you. And again, look for those calls on July 29th and 30th. They will be making those phone calls, and they will ask you if you would like the opportunity to have an on-campus open house. And if you say yes, then they'll work with you to schedule that over the course of the next 4 days. So we will be running open house visits for kindergarten on Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday before school starts on Thursday. And so you will have the opportunity to come in and walk your child to the classroom. Now, we do ask that is one child, that is your child and only one parent. No siblings, please, and just one parent. Also, if you are an incoming kindergartner, you may be wondering about kindergarten bus roundup. We will be having bus roundup. That is July 23rd at 9 a.m. You will receive a call from your child's bus driver a couple of days before that roundup. However, just be aware that all of this information will be starting to come out on Wednesday morning. Tomorrow morning on our website and on our social media platforms, you will see a lot of this information about open house, bus roundup, all of the typical back to school things. We have held off on publishing those things until we were able to really get people the opportunity to get the information they needed to make a good decision about the virtual option. So we just didn't want to muddy the waters. This will be the last public forum we'll have about the virtual option. And again, those decisions need to be made by this afternoon or this evening. And then you'll see all of the typical back to school stuff coming out as soon as we get up and running on Wednesday morning. Okay, can you place the kids who will not be wearing masks in the same class? No, we're actually populating classes based on the way that we always have. We do balance our classrooms, male and female. We balance them in terms of instructional needs. And really, the bottom line is masks are expected, and where it's possible, then children will be wearing those. However, if there's a reason that a child can't, or they're not wearing it at school that day, they could be in any classroom. Next question. So in upper grades, will students work in all subject areas each day or week, or will they only have math and science for a week or the next week? No, they'll have some work in each one, but it will be predominantly the math and science. That will be the heavy part of the curriculum, but we don't want to be absolutely void of having language arts and social studies. But most of the instruction will be in the math and science. We want to keep those things moving, but not necessarily the bulk of the instruction will be with one of those teachers. How will small groups be conducted face to face? We're going to do that the same way that we always have. For small group instruction, we actually will distance the kids as much as we possibly can, and the teacher will be distanced from that too. We're super fortunate here that we have the ability to leverage technology, and we have the ability for our teachers to use lots of different things to differentiate instruction for kids. So, and really, in all honesty, last year we moved almost entirely to a conference model anyway. And with a conference model, your child is literally meeting with the teacher, and they are talking about the specific power goals that your child has. All right. So most of our instruction is honestly delivered that way, where your child is. Next question. Sorry if you already mentioned this, I joined a little late. Was wondering how many students have chosen to be taught virtually. Right now we have 304. That is two. Right now it's almost balancing out to be 2 at every grade level except 1 in kindergarten, and that was as of about 10 o'clock last night. We don't have any new information. How will info about car rider pickup and drop off be posted if we have 2 kids? So we will accommodate families for car rider line. I can tell you that information is going to come out in about a week. We are having to change the logistics on car riders and daycare van riders and all of those things significantly. We will release all of that information about a week from now with a series of videos that will show you exactly what to do. We may end up having a little bit of a tiered car rider pickup in the afternoon, but of course we would put families together. I can't even imagine, as the mother of 3 children, having to pick them all up at different times. But we do have to limit the numbers of children that we can have waiting in the gym or in the cafeteria in a specific place. So all of that information will come out in about a week. You will find it posted on all of our social media platforms. It will also be on our website. And we will send updates through Infinite Campus Messenger. And that's really anybody that has their child registered for school will get an email telling you to check those platforms because we've made some updates. Do you have a specific brand model recommendation for Chromebook? I do not, but Faith Herrick is our ITS and she is responding to your post. There you go. Faith is handling that. You mentioned earlier that the virtual teacher might be assigned to the same student after the 9 weeks. If we all move to face-to-face, if the numbers pan out, will the students be assigned to teachers based on personality, learning? Yes, absolutely. Yes, we read every single request that parents send to us. And yes, we're going to honor those as in the virtual environment and in the face-to-face environment. So yes, when we come back, even if we transition back after the 9 weeks, I expect there may be a shuffle here or there, but we will handle those things. Can you touch on the process for when your child is part of the gifted program? If you choose the virtual option, your child will be provided gifted services just like they would in school. We will send out information about those specific programs and really how we're going to provide that service after we have our numbers. Right now, I am working through the list of all of the people that have chosen the virtual option, and I have a sheet of what types of services they need and what they're receiving. And then we will go about allocating our staff to provide those services for you in the virtual environment. You're going to get that information during pre-planning and during open house. But yes, if your child receives any of our specialized services, you will be receiving those in the virtual option as well. Will you send a kid home with a normal cough and cold? We will, if any child is ill. We actually really, I think you saw this in the PowerPoint, we do not want to send well children to the clinic, okay? So if a child is ill or feeling ill, the teacher will actually contact our receptionist, who will radio for an administrator, and we will either go and assess the child or send the nurse to assess the child. And should they be running a fever, they will be quarantined and sent home. If they have other symptoms, honestly, there are children who have symptoms of COVID that don't necessarily run fever. Our nurse has been very, very well trained on those things. And if she feels like there's some kind of situation where the child may be ill, then she's going to contact the parent. A normal cough and cold, no, we're going to monitor it and see where that is. But that's really going to be determined by our school nurse. Will the virtual students still do leadership books and work towards their goals throughout the year? Absolutely. We are a Leader in Me school, and we're going to do our goals through every platform that we have. A huge part of our culture is really the art of self-leadership. Our students are outstanding leaders. Yes, they will be using their leadership notebooks. They will be setting goals, tracking their strategies, and monitoring their progress regardless of the situation that they're in. Can you please talk about the gift testing this quarter? Actually, there's going to be some information coming out about that from our district. That will come out in about a week. We will be, for kids that started their gift testing in the spring, we will be finishing that. But the specifics around that are coming out a little bit later. But yes, we will be finishing that testing protocol. All right, let's see. Did I miss anything? Back to the gifted for face-to-face. Will they be leaving the homeroom? I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. Where possible, I would love to deliver push-in services. If that's not possible, then our gifted teachers do have a classroom assigned to them. The important part for me, I have to be able to do contact tracing for every single person all the time. So it's really important to us to know exactly who every child is. Should anybody get sick, I'm going to need to be able to share information with public health about who had access to that child, under what circumstances, and for how long. So we don't have, I'm not sure exactly how those particular services are going to work. So we look at the number of kids that are requiring them. Yes, virtual students will get whatever workbooks we're using, whether that's Envision, whatever we're using in the classroom, virtual students will get those as well. School pictures, same for virtual learners. We will have a time for you to bring your child up to school and have their school pictures taken. However, we have backed up our initial school picture date, so we're waiting on the new dates for those things. Can you describe any resources available for parents, both in regards to teaching and also filling the void of interaction with their classmates? That's a really great question. Honestly, I think, and I'll have to work with Ms. Garrick on this, but back in the spring, we had a separate folder in our It's Learn platform that was called VCE Extras. And that's a place where we're going to continue to post all of those types of things. So if you just need something more to do with your child, we have everything there, from Viking Friday activities, like some of our great Viking Fridays teachers did videos on, making crafts out of toilet paper tubes. We have that, as well as your child needs enrichment in certain, you want to be able to extend the learning for your child in this curriculum area or that. We will continue to have all of those options for you. Can my older kid drop little class. They will be car riders. That's a great question. And I'm sorry, the answer to that is no. We will not be having students go anywhere except directly to their classroom. We will have staff members in the hallway. So please, please let your younger child know that we will have teachers that will make sure she gets exactly what she needs. But no, we were not going to have anybody. I think the hard part, to be honest with you, is that our kids are so used to going to visit their former teachers and say hello to people in the morning. That's a really big switch for our community, but we are going to ask students to come in the building and go directly to their classroom. And we will have staff members in the hallway, both enforcing that and helping our people who may not be sure where to go get to the exact location where they need to be. Since you brought that up, I do want to share one other thing that's going to be really different for parents. This year, we will not be allowing parents to walk their children to class on the first couple of days. I know that's a big switch, but obviously we're trying to limit the numbers of people in our hallways. And also this year, we will not be allowing parents to park and walk their child to the front of the school for drop-off in the morning. I do anticipate that we may have a larger than typical number of people using our car rider line, and we are really to limit the exposure in our on our sidewalks. And so toward that end, we're going to ask you either to utilize the bus service or use our car rider line, but please do not plan to park and walk your child down the sidewalk and up to the school. We will not be providing that opportunity this year. Okay. Will clubs like robotics be offered? Not during the first 9 weeks. They will not be offered during the first 9 weeks. That is the case at all elementary schools. We will be making a decision about those things as we get a little bit closer to the end of the first grading period. Okay, no. The ELA reading / math science be the same for virtual? Honestly, we're not sure yet. I would like to keep it that way because all of our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers are planning together. That is only something that happens in our upper grades. So where possible, yes, I would love to leave it that way. However, please understand that even if it's, let's say it's the ELA week, that doesn't mean that your child will not be interfacing with the math teacher at all. It just means the bulk of the in ELA, okay? So it's not that they won't have a touch point at all. Next question, if you start face-to-face, can you switch to virtual if you feel the risks are too high? No, you cannot until after the first 9 weeks. Now, the truth is you have, you obviously could choose to homeschool if you wanted to do that, but we're asking, and certainly if you have extenuating family circumstances, just like in any other circumstance, contact me and we'll talk about it. But in general, no, we are asking people to please make a 9-week commitment. How many students will each teacher in the virtual classroom have? About the same as our face-to-face classroom. We don't have hard numbers on that yet. How can we get car rider tag? Great question. Our plan is not finalized for that, but you will see information coming out in about a week about all of those things. Next question, if our child needs an EpiPen, how do I get that to the nurse's office? We will actually be providing an opportunity for parents to drop off medication with Nurse Presley. We will have a couple of times that are drive-through drop-off, basically, and we'll send information about that next week. But yes, Nurse Presley may need to get EpiPens and or medication from some of you, and we will publish a time where you will be bringing that directly to her. Okay, have the EOI's end of year summer class parties been canceled? So I haven't made an official announcement about this yet, but yes, I believe that we are going to have to cancel our end of the year parties for grades K through 4. The reason for that is that the governor extended the mandate around limiting our large group gatherings to less than 50 people. And I just don't think it's feasible for us to do it any other way and still get ready for school to start. So yes, those things are going to be canceled. However, this week, our former 5th grade parents will be getting a survey to determine if they are still interested in having some type of graduation ceremony. Some of our parents have told me that their children are just ready to move on to middle school, and some may be still interested in having an event. So we are working through the process of figuring out a graduation for our alumni now. But the other ones, yes, unfortunately, are going to be canceled. How will testing be handled to ensure students are not using outside resources? That really, we'll talk to you about all of those specifics. If you register for virtual learning, we have a lot of opportunities to do that on through our digital platforms. But also, I'm just going to be really honest with you. It is not hard for a teacher to know what a child knows and does not know when they are conferencing with them one-on-one. So you can expect that your child's teacher will be meeting with them regularly, and it's very easy to tell what they've mastered and what they haven't. Do you have any information about buses? No, I really do not at this time. It'll probably be about a week before you'll see some of those things coming out. Will virtuals have to switch teachers? In kindergarten through second grade, no, they are self-contained classes just like we always do. And then in the upper grades, we're still talking about that. It really has to do with the number of teachers and the number of students we have. However, the plan we are most likely to use is that your child will have the partner teachers just like they do in our face-to-face environment. So we do an IEP virtually. We will be working with you. If your child has an IEP and you've signed up for virtual, we will be working with you directly. Actually, tomorrow, our facilitators and assistant principals are back on contract, and they will be reaching out to those families directly to talk through your IEP and how we're going to provide those services. Can I request specific teacher names for my kids? That is the million-dollar question, and the million-dollar answer is no. We appreciate that, but please, you can provide us, and I'm sure you probably did in May when we asked for these things. It's wonderful for you to give us feedback about the type of learning environment that your child needs and the type of teaching style that most benefits your child. But in all honesty, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I may be changing people's grade levels in the next 2 days to meet the needs that we currently have. So requesting specific teachers is just not even a logistical option at this point. Okay, I think I have answered everything that's come across. Just going to give you a little bit of a timeline so that you guys know what you can expect. The registration for virtual closes this evening. On Wednesday morning, I will get an update from our registration department that will give me the exact numbers and the names of the students that have registered for our virtual option. From that, I take that and look at all of the special programs that might be needed. And then I will be working with my staff through the end of the week to reallocate staff and come up with our plan for how we're going to provide all of those service needs. All right. Then the following week, the assistant principals and I will go about the process of populating all of our classes, both the virtual and the face-to-face classes, just like we always have. And then we will be prepared to give out class list information to our teachers on the very first day of pre-planning. That's earlier than we typically have that, but our very first day of pre-planning on that Wednesday, our teachers will be given information. They will be given their class list. So you can expect, whether you are a virtual student or a face-to-face student, just like always, you can expect that your child will receive a phone call from their teacher welcoming them back to school on that Wednesday or Thursday, okay? And when they get that phone call, the teacher will also be asking you if you want to set up an open house appointment. Remember, if you are an incoming kindergartner or a family that's new to our community, you will have the opportunity to come to the school for an open house appointment. Otherwise, we will be delivering those virtually. And still that will be by appointment so that you can have the teachers undivided time. Those open house appointments, either face-to-face or virtual, are going to occur on Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then Thursday, the 6th of August, is our first day of school. Whether you're in the virtual environment or face-to-face, we're going to welcome you and ensure that you have a fantastic first few days of school. please do watch our website and our social media platforms. As I said before, lots of information is coming your way about logistical things. We just wanted to get you the information you needed about this virtual option versus the face-to-face option so that you can make a good solid for your children and your family. And then we will close this and then begin communicating with you about all of the other nuts and bolts and logistics about a great back to school. So thank you so much for joining us today. As always, thank you for sharing your children with us. We do not take that lightly. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me via email. I promise I will get back to you and we'll get your questions. Thanks so much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Talk to you soon.